You know, it takes a lot of patience for people to sit down. You come to a program that's supposed to start at 10, and here we are at 11:18 or so. We're yet to start. I want to really applaud you for your patience. In our own defense, we tried our best, but our Sharaf certificate was withdrawn. That's why his IT certificate was withdrawn. So next
I'm
time
a
he needs to go
software
learn.
engineer,
He needs
not
to go and learn
IT
how to do
technician.
a microphone. Alhamdulillah, sorry about that. So inshallah, we're going to get started. So what we're going to do now is we're going to wrap up some things, so that we can quickly get to our destination. Ẹ̀yin ìyá wa, abẹ̀kẹ̀ má bínú pé wọ́n ká tètè bẹ̀rẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n microphone ni kò jẹ́ kí a tètè bẹ̀rẹ̀. Alhamdulillah, Ọlọ́run ti bá a solve ẹ̀ àti solve ẹ̀ 100%. Ó tẹ̀ tún bẹ́tà kan sí. Ó ti sáà bẹ́tà láti mo ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀. Bọ́lá bàbá jẹ́rẹ̀ sí o, Bọ́lá Sharaf, mi ti sọ ẹ ṣe fẹ́yìn. Bọ́lá Taofik ẹ ṣe o, alhamdulillah. So, a máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní kíákíá, inshallah. To, today, our program today is actually loaded. Loaded because we want to feature many things in our community, many things happening in our community. So, we have, alhamdulillah, we have three major segments we want to highlight today. One of them being, we want to follow up on an incident that happened some weeks back here in Houston. Some of you are aware what happened around Champion Masjid. You know what happened and we have our own in-house experts too. They're going to sit down on the podium. within the time constraint. We know we started late. We extend our time to about let me see, maybe around 12:20. We'll see how we can wrap up by that time, inshallah. So I will start with the first question. Dr. Zina, please let me have the first question. Give me the honor of having the first question. And my first question will go to Dr. Shoaib. All right. So please pay attention. What is the link between mental health and domestic violence? That's what we're talking about today, domestic violence and mental health. So what is the link between these two?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. So the way I would rephrase it is not mental illness, but rather mental state. Okay, so mental state is how you're feeling at a certain point in time. The reason I'm saying that is that everybody in this room is at risk of developing mental illness. Everybody, including myself. Okay, all it takes is how far somebody's pushed till they get to their breaking point. Once they get to their breaking point, after that, things just kind of take their own course. So a lot of the patients who may have depression or bipolar disorder or other mental illnesses, their first episode usually is triggered by an event. It could be a traumatic event. It could be something bad that happened in their lives. And then from that point on, it just kind of takes a life of its own and it comes and goes. So it's a huge topic. I mean, you can just talk about this for an hour or two and still not do justice to it. So in order to understand, what can lead to, somebody becoming violent, let's not even say domestic violence. It's one kind of violence. There are other violences that people conduct all the time. So that has to do with the mental status of a patient at given point in time. And there are several disorders, actually medical disorders as well as psychiatric disorders. I'm just breaking down because I do believe that psychiatric disorders are also medical disorders. But for instance, somebody who has hypoglycemia, their blood sugar falls, they become more irritable. Many people experience that. They get angry when they're hungry, right? People whose blood sugar gets too high, their mental status changes. People who have thyroid disorders, hyper or hypo, they can have a change in their mental status, right? Then coming down to mental illness itself, I mean, there are several disorders such as bipolar disorder, where people have extremes of mood changes, feeling very high, and during that time they may be very irritable to very depressed and sad. People may have major depressive disorders, people with anxiety disorders, people with psychotic disorders. I've had patients who are psychotic. In their psychosis, they stabbed their father, 30 times. Luckily, the father survived, but he was hearing voices that were telling him the father was a demon. So, this is reality. People don't realize that people with unstable mental illness can actually become violent. And that violence, of course, can happen at home or outside the house. Another example that I'll give here is attention deficit disorder. People think it's a very benign condition. But if you think about somebody who has ADD, they have difficulty staying focused. So when they have difficulty staying focused, let's say they go to work or school, they spend all day there trying to stay focused, spending a lot of energy. By the time they come home, they have burnt their, patience. They're not ready to talk to anyone. They just want to chill and not do anything. And you try to talk to someone like that, they may become angry and irritable and start acting out. So I hope that my answer.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad you stayed within our time, because we have so many questions. So we encourage our panelists not to exceed 2 minutes when you're answering any question. Thank you very much. Doctor.
Okay. Please, we urge the sisters to be a little bit quiet so that we can all benefit from the program. Jazakumullahu khairan. So the next question will also go to, I believe, to Dr. Shoaib, since you're talking about the same topic. What kind of specific mental health disorders may lead to domestic violence?
So as I mentioned earlier, like bipolar disorder is very common. Actually, it's almost 3% of the population has it, about 2.5 to 2.7%. So that, that means that that can happen to about 2 people or 3 people out of every 100. Most of them are not recognized. Unfortunately, in our society, a lot of times people don't want to come forward and get help. Sometimes people do get help, and then they are traumatized because they are demonized for their disorder. They start taking medication, then people ask them question, "Hey, did you take your medicine today?" Anybody can get angry in a day. You can't say that this is what's happening. Depression, a lot of times people don't understand, but it can actually cause people to become psychotic. And in their psychosis, they can actually hurt people, hurt their own family members, right? Like I mentioned, psychotic disorders can do that, anxiety disorders can do that, and personality disorders. People who have, for instance, antisocial personality disorder, their moral compass is off. So a lot of them they will hurt other people just to get what they want. People with borderline personality disorder. It's called borderline because it borders between normal and abnormal thought process, right? And then there are the narcissistic personalities, and so many disorders that can lead to it. But everybody who is violent, who commits family violence, does not have mental illness. Let's be very clear about that. Sometimes people feel that this is narcissism, where they feel that they're entitled to everything. Everybody should cater to them. So if people don't cater to them, they get upset, and they can become verbally violent. And violence does not necessarily have to be physical. Verbal violence hurts you more than physical violence does. It actually demeans a person, brings their self-esteem down, leads to depression, leads to PTSD, destroys a person's life. You hit somebody one time, they will survive it. You destroy their personality by words, they would have very difficult time getting out of that.
I think the next question is going to be for any members of the panelists. What exactly is domestic violence?
Maybe our Imam. Is that second question you want to take on?
Anybody want to take
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله رب العالمين. May Almighty Allah forgive us for our shortcomings, and may we all benefit from this gathering. And I think it's important that we talk about these issues because as we are witnessing in our community, these things are becoming more prevalent. They're becoming more frequent. So basically, based on the question, what is domestic violence? It's like Dr. Shoaib said, it's any form of violence or abuse that could occur in the home. And most times we look at it at, violence between partners. In this event, it was violence, between partner, the mother, and the daughter. And, it's very, very hard to distinguish what is domestic violence in some cases because sometimes we take it as, normal occurrences. My husband just, said something mean to me, the kids are there. How do we perceive what domestic violence is? And for some people, it might be culturally, different. For some people, the man is supposed to be able to stand up, and speak up in aggressive. It's acceptable, not necessarily permissible. It's acceptable that the man is able to do that. However, once we realize that this is something that is affecting the individual in mentally, then we can actually state it as some form of abuse, be it verbal, be it physical, and I think that's something that we can use to identify what domestic violence is, and most importantly, the physical aspect, the violent aspect of maybe hitting. That's another very significant piece of what domestic violence is.
Yeah, I'm just going to add to that. That yes, when we think of domestic violence, I think what comes to mind is the physical aspect of it. But there are also other components as well that we tend to neglect, which is the emotional aspect of it. I think Dr. Schwab has mentioned that, that is linked to the mental illness aspect of that. And so the economic aspect also, comes into play, where the aggressor in this situation will be using maybe fund or any money to control the other person. And it doesn't matter the age, gender, because when we think of domestic violence, we're thinking of, the man abusing the woman. But we have instances where it's the other way around as well, where the men actually, they are the victim in a relationship, believe it or not. But culturally speaking, this is not acceptable for a man to come out and say that they've been abused by their spouse. So we don't hear much about this, but it actually happens. There's stats that actually points that 18% of people in the US, actually men, experience domestic violence. So I wanted to, we shouldn't, forget aside from the physical, we shouldn't also forget the sexual aspect of it as well, because sex is actually used, by the aggressor to control the other partner in the relationship as well.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. So what we're saying, sure, absolutely.
Just a couple of, I'm going to just throw out a couple of numbers, just so that people understand the extent of domestic violence that take place. Every minute, 20 people experience domestic violence. That makes about 20 million cases every year, okay? 1 in 4 women, in some studies 1 in 3 women, and 1 in 7 men experience domestic violence. I had one patient who was physically abused by his wife on a regular basis. One day he got tired and went to the police to report it. And the cops laughed at him and sent him back out. I mean, that's unfortunate because he was controlling himself, for not hitting or being violent towards his wife. So he wanted to do the right thing. But unfortunately, nobody took him seriously. So, I mean, this is, as Sister said, this is a serious issue that should be addressed, not only by community, but by everybody else who's responsible.
Okay, Dr. Shoaib, let me ask you this as a follow-up question to that. So I, as a family member, for instance, how can I identify someone in my home who may be a potential abuser?
So let's talk about culture real quick. Unfortunately, a lot of our cultures accept the man to be aggressive or have anger problems, right? So they can have like an anger outburst and they can say something nasty or something unpleasant to their partner. It could be their wife, it could be their kids, it could be other people in the family. And once you start accepting that, then what happens when father does it, the son starts doing it, right? And the other problem that happens is if the father puts mother down in front of the children, guess what? The child disrespects women. They don't respect other women, not only their mother, but also other women outside. So what they see at home, they will also, practice. Children mirror. They do what you do. They don't do what you tell them to do. So that's one thing. And things that, you can identify issues such as somebody with short temper. Somebody who actually has a psychiatric illness, somebody who has physical illness. Actually, a lot of times people who have physical illness, they also have low self-esteem. So everything and anything that is said to them, they take it as personal. Somebody who's actually in treatment, for various disorders or conditions, they have the potential because they may feel that they are, being targeted or somehow put down. So people who are very sensitive, so those are kind of, places where you have to be kind of careful, but and be vigilant. Or somebody who has a history. That's the most important thing. Somebody who has a history of violence in the past is more likely to conduct violence in the future.
I think I like how Dr. Shoaib ended that. One of the things that we like to see, based on something I said earlier with regards to, the acceptance of, aggression. The mistake a lot of couples will make is that, it was a one-off. He did this, he was physically aggressive one time. Once it happens and happens again, the likelihood that it's going to continue is almost 90% or higher. So understanding that, like, from the question, one way to notice it, if it's a pattern once or twice, it's not going to stop, especially for male abusers.
Okay, and
Yeah.
for our imam, yeah, actually, okay.
So, Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Alaikum salam.
Alhamdulillah, even though it's when I was invited to be one of the panelists, it seems to me I would just be silent all through.
I actually have a
No, you have lots of questions for you.
I have a
And,
question for him,
And
actually.
the reason is very obvious. I've been in this community for like 12 years, and I've participated in some issues where I mediate, and I don't want to seem as if for now is now giving an example of myself or something like that. So whatever I say here, Allah be my witness. I'm not quoting you. I'm not citing you. It's just that I can't just run away from it. So I just want to say that how, if I use any example, I say something, and you look at that, oh, now see what Imam is talking about. May Allah guide us. Domestic violence. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those houses or couples that are having crises, having issues. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen their marriage. For those couples, for those marriages that are very blissful, smooth, I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to strengthen their marriage as well.
I mean,
You see, culturally, whether we like it or not, there are things that we do, and the culture asks us, permit us, stamp it, that it is the way it is. Where I work, my boss will come in, I will rise up. Where I work presently, I've done that times without number. This is me. A husband will come in, having a briefcase, work 8 hours, 12 hours. The wife also work. Wife is watching TV. She has work. She's tired. The husband walk in with his briefcase, expecting the wife to say, honey, come on, how are you? Let me have your breakfast. Your briefcase. That doesn't happen. The husband just walk inside. Okay. He went inside, changed, put on his pajamas. The wife is still not sure. What's happening? Is this my wife? Okay. Arike, where are the kids? You know their house, you know the room. Why are you calling me? If you love your kids, go look at them. Because he's tired. She has work as well. And in my mind, wait a minute. Is this my same Arike? Then I came outside. How dare you? You ignore me. I came in. Today now. Really? And you heard me when I said, where are my kids? You know where they are. Of course, the husband knows where they are. But I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting her to say, oh, this is the... You must be stupid for telling me that. Look at the word I use. Because I believe I can say anything. I'm the husband. Culturally. That's what we believe. And the wife just look at it. Just that simple language, it weigh heavy as a man from where I came from. And the woman look at him and say, you must be stupid as well. That's a no in Yoruba culture. Bear in mind, the husband said it first. He used the same language. But now the husband got angry. You dare say that to me? Boom, boom, boom. If you are able to control your anger, this will not happen.
Assalamu alaikum, Imam. I'm going to stop you there. So some men actually reference the Quran, chapter 4, verses 34, to justify beating their wives. What are your thoughts on that?
Quran chapter 4, verse 34. This is a verse of the Quran. As Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ told us, "Inni taraktu fikum amrayn, ma in tamassaktum bihima lan tadilu abada." I've left for you two things. If you hold on to it, you will never get astray. And what are those two things? Everybody? The Quran and the Sunnah. Now, in this Quran, ayah number 3, verse 7, Allah said, "I've revealed in the Quran, minhu ayatul mukamat." There are some verses that are very explicit, very straightforward. Wa minhun mukamat. But there are some that need interpretation. It has multiple meanings. How do we navigate that? So in this ayah, Ar-rijalu qawwamuna ala nisa, that's the verse, Quran 4, verse 34. Man is the breadwinner. Man is the leader in the house. And Allah explain why. Bima fadlallah. Number one, I made it that way. I choose it to be. It's not about he making more money. It's not about he's older than you. It's not about anything. Bima fadlallah. I made it that way. Number two, bima anfaku, because he spent. Now, Allah continue when there are issues, meaning Allah realize, Allah knows there will be issue. There will be issue. So when the issue comes, what happens? Negotiate, dialogue. Adike, why do you do this? We talk over it. Maybe she didn't listen, or maybe I didn't listen, because it may be both ways. Okay? The next thing is, wajuruhunna fil madaji. Stay away from the bed, meaning don't have intercourse together. To her, it's nothing. So it's not a punishment. Then the next thing is wadribuhunna. And that is the key word. Wadribuhunna. Strike. Beat. Allah actually used that word. And mind you, as Muslims, when Allah says something, if we don't understand, we don't understand. But if Allah says something, that is it. Now, how did the prophet interpret? How did the prophet navigate this verse? The prophet had issue with his wife. Aisha was alleged of zina. We all know that. Right? Aisha, the wife of prophet, there's an allegation that she had a zina. But how did the prophet, and did he beat her? No. Okay? So when we find that higher, we look around, how did the scholars interpret it? Even when you say beat, they said you use the cloth, the hijab, to beat.
To beat her lightly, though.
Lightly.
Lightly, yeah.
Can that, but the essence of that is to serve as, hey, I'm not happy. Simple. Not to create injury, not to create damage, but to sound as, honey, I'm not happy with what's going on.
Okay, so he needs to do like this. Honey, I'm not happy.
Thank you,
Right?
Sister Zeno, for dramatizing
Not-
that.
Yeah, I have to. Not that,
Thank you. I
So
like
it has,
that.
It has to be a light one. Okay. Jazakallah khairan. So this question goes to Assalamu alaikum. Do we have questions from the audience before I continue? Okay.
No questions from the audience?
No questions from you.
Okay.
I guess everyone is entertained tonight, this morning. Okay, so this question actually goes to any of the panelists.
Sorry, he just reminded me of something. Even though the ayah mentioned, the area I'm going is, Aisha reported that Muhammad sallallahu he never strike any of his wives. He never.
Even his servants.
Even his servant. Thank you. In the hadith. So if truly we want to emulate what the prophet said, we should know. There is no reason for anyone to beat his wife. And there is no reason for a wife also to beat her husband. Allah Allah.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. I know you talked about the role of the man in domestic violence. What is the role of the woman in the onset of domestic violence?
Or should we rephrase that to say,
Who is to be blamed?
what role does gender play? Let's ask you that question. What role does gender play? Does gender play any role in DV, domestic violence? Dr. Shoaib, who wants to answer that question?
Assalamualaikum. So it's a loaded question, and there's no right answer to it. Okay. Example like Sheikh had mentioned that the husband comes in and he's tired, and wife is home and she's tired as well from her work. So unfortunately, we expect that when we get home, the wife is going to get up, cook food, even though she worked all day, and food will be ready and warm, and everybody will be welcoming us, right? So in real life, that doesn't happen. Okay. Now, if we look at our Prophet hadith, his life, he has directed us, or he has told us that if somebody walks away from an argument and they are in the right in the argument, the hasanat they get are numerous, immeasurable. So let's say I and my wife have an argument and I feel I'm right. The best thing that I could do, emulating Prophet ﷺ, would be walking away from it. Okay? Now, somebody who is under stress, and let me give you an example of COVID, which was recent, everybody experienced it. People were stuck at home, wives. Okay, so let me give you like an example of a typical family, not atypical family where husband's working, wife is at home, kids go to school. Now COVID comes. What happens? Husband's not going to work, he's at home. He's bored. Okay, and if God forbid he has ADHD, then he's hyper also. Okay, and then the kids are not in school, they're at home, and they're bored. So what do? They argue and fight with each other. They want attention from their parents, right? So there's more pressure on parents. And wife, who used to have some downtime when the husband was at work and kids were in school, she could take care of herself. She has some me time. Now suddenly she doesn't have me time. So now she is catering to everybody, and everybody is on everybody's case and everybody's business. Now husband starts to tell wife how to do this and how to do that and how to run the house, which she has been doing for years, right? So actually divorce rates, violence rates, substance abuse rates, and child abuse rates, they all went up during COVID. And the reason was stress. Take away mental illness. Now you add mental illness to the picture. Now here's somebody who actually does not have patience. They are not able to control themselves, especially if they're unstable. So when they get under stress, then they lash out. And that can be verbal, that can be physical, could be any way.
I was just gonna say that I had a problem with the way the question was worded in terms of the blaming thing, because domestic violence is like a sensitive subject for so many people. Like I just always, when we have this kind of discussion that look your left, look your right, you don't know what people are going through. Just because everybody's here putting up smile on their faces doesn't necessarily mean that things are good. And especially in our culture where in this kind of thing is a taboo, we don't necessarily talk about them. And unfortunately, because of the incident that happened, and I wish that we can have more conversation of this kind of stuff all the time. So this way people can have a safety outlet where they feel that we
Doctor,
can talk about this stuff.
Just mention, because you mentioned that conversation, I just want to inform everyone, inshallah, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we're going to be featuring a lot of talk. This session is a short session, so inshallah, October we're going to have a very long session on it, inshallah.
So that's great news. So this way we can make it like a normal conversation, because you don't know what people are going through, so people can have a safety outlet in our community and come and talk about issues that they're dealing with, without necessarily, we don't want to hear when it results into violence or somebody died before we actually talking about it.
If I may add, we all think about, okay, what is my right? My rights need to be fulfilled. We have rights and responsibilities, and I would say we have responsibilities and rights. So if everybody takes care of their responsibility, nobody's rights will be violated. Think about that. If everybody takes care of their responsibilities in a Hassan way, right, in the right way, nobody will be worried about their rights, both husband and wife and children.
Okay, so today basically we talked about, just being a human, and you're pushed to stress, and that stress can actually cause you to become depressed or become, anxious and develop some mental kind of problems or illness. So it's not just, this person. So basically what I'm trying to say is you could just be a normal person and stress pushes you to the edge. Now we've talked about what domestic violence is. We've talked about how to identify someone in your home. What about resources for, domestic violence victims? How would any of you, address that? Are there resources for victims?
I wanted to mention before we get to resources. Yeah, there are resources. I would just leave it to people. But I wanted to talk about we're missing the children that are exposed to DV as well, because that's very important. That I think Dr. Shuab mentioned briefly about that, but I wanted us to focus on those kids as well because unfortunately they're thrown in this situation, and oftentimes when these things happen in a home setting and kids are exposed, and like Dr. Shuab said that, believe it or not, they're emulating everything that we're doing. They're sort of taking in, especially at a younger age. So we want to make sure that we understand that these kids, they are affected psychological as well, in the sense that they can have experience developmental delays, for example, and also when they are depressed or not acting out aggressive behaviors, and sometimes you're like, oh, what is wrong with this child? This child doesn't usually behave like this. It could be something that they actually witness at home or even in the family setting or in a community that actually set off this kind of behavior that we are receiving from them. So we ought to put those kids in consideration as well in terms of them being affected psychologically.
Let me just add to that. With having said that, this event occurred whereby the kid was, the life was taken. Another piece to it is the grandparent was also taken. So that's a very, very important piece. Domestic violence or abuse or exploitation, the financial exploitation that was mentioned earlier, does occur to the elderly. So the grandmas, the grandpas in our midst also, some form of abuse may be occurring, and it's left to providers or other people in the family that could all be more alert, because most times the grandparents, the elderly, will just based on their own level of experience, they'll suck it up. But it's left to us to really look to them and ask the questions when we notice them feeling depressed, isolated, or engaging in isolation or having those depressed moments. Talk to the elderly, consider them as a part of the individuals that might be affected by DV as well, because they do get affected as well. Not forgetting that.
There's a question here from the audience.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakumullah khairan. My question is, in some of the, there's an ayah, I think one or two ayah in the Quran. I just want the Imam to kind of help us shed light a little bit on it and maybe to give us advice about the ayah. The ayah I'm talking about is in Surah Al-Taghabun. Allah says, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن من أزواجكم وأولادكم عدو لكم فاحذروهم وإن تعفوا وتصفحوا وتكفروا فإن الله غفور رحيم. And Allah says also إنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة والله عنده أجر عظيم. So my question is, those who are, and I know Allah also make example for believers. It talks about the wife of Fir'aun, and then the daughter of Imran, and then I also mentioned the wife of Lut and the wife of Nuh. I think I like kind of balance, but in this particular ayah, how do you reconcile when Allah says there could be an enemy, and how do we know the enemy? But Allah says if you are patient, that's better. Can you help us a little bit shed more light?
All right, Imam, sorry, apologies, everyone. I understand the question on resources has not been addressed. And sorry, Dr. Kafila, maybe let Dr. Kafila go first and address that, then you address.
As far as resources, there are resources available. Usually, when it gets to certain points, people can get a restraining order, for example, and also there are shelters that people can call in, like anonymously. Also, there are helpline, domestic violence hotline that people can, call. But in terms of resources, actually, split on this because I believe that in our community, we should be able to partner with domestic violence organizations where we can have something in-house where it will be easier for people to actually have accessibility to, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. There are already available programs already is implemented in the community. So why not partner with them so we can have in-house resources for our people? Because like I said, it's happening here, amongst us, whether we want to hear it or not. So again, look to your right and left. You don't know what people are going through. So those are some of the resources that I'm aware of, But then again, I think I asked the question that, so I know that culturally speaking, people, from my understanding, my experience, that people always question that, especially Nigerian community, that, I'm going through this, but I don't want it to be on record. So I don't want my kid's name or my husband's name attached to this, right? How do I navigate the system? Sometimes my response is usually like, you can't, like in some cases, maybe you can avoid it. Others, you just have to go through the system. And so I question, like, do we have culturally appropriate or religiously appropriate programs, because we know that within our community, people are concerned about that, because the other day, I know I'm talking too much, but the other day I got a call from, a Nigerian Muslim woman that was committed to psych ward, that allegations was that, not only that she was sexually violated, so also was her daughter. So these things are real. So I just, I wanted to know, it would be, a lot easier if we have something easily accessible for our community members. Something like that.
If I may add to that, actually there is a Muslim organization, An-Nisa, run by Sister Bibi Khan, and they are actually doing a great job helping Muslim women who are victims of domestic violence. There's another organization that's called Daya, and that is actually for anybody. It doesn't have, you have to be Muslim, non-Muslim. But I think if you realize that you are in danger, or your partner, so violence, it goes stepwise a lot of times. It will start with verbal abuse and end up with physical abuse and severe trauma. So you're trying to save the family. Abusers don't want you to go out and talk to anyone. What they will do is they will isolate you. They don't want you to go visit with your friends. They don't want you to go visit with your family, even though that's your right. They want you to just stay in the house. They'll beat you up tomorrow. They'll say sorry, and day after tomorrow they'll beat you up again. It's a typical pattern. So what do? You stay in marriage and and endure the abuse, or do you take steps? So calling the police actually makes them scared. They will allow these people will actually stop, okay, or they will be made to get help, or they will be moved out of the house, which is very, very important. Separating the abuser from the abuse is very, very important. So there you have to take action. You can't just keep doing it, because then you're also sending wrong message to the children that it is okay for you to be abused. You just stay quiet for family. Sometimes it gets to a point where it's better to be divorced than be married, unfortunately. Because if you stay married, a lot of lives are being destroyed, including the kids.
Just to add to that,
Dr. Giwa, as you add to that, please, can you give us steps on how, what are the steps, if male or female identifies a potential, abuser, what are steps they can take?
Okay. Just to add to what was said, the research has already shown that the number one deterrent, that would, put somewhat a plug or a stop to domestic violence, is separating the abuser from the abusee. So calling the law enforcement to come in is the number one thing that should be done. Okay. Steps. I think that's the first step. Identifying the problem. Also speaking to let's talk about community wide. Our imams that are here. They, like he has said, he's mediated some situations. Sometimes family always have a biased view
Yes.
regards to who they support. So I think finding maybe one member of the family in the mediation process might also be beneficial from both parties. Another step is very importantly seeking mental health assistance. The link, like has already been identified, with True. Absolutely. And what yes.
Where we will identify those first responders. People like you sitting on this panel can serve as our first responder, and we make that information available in the masjid during the week that is coming up. You haven't experienced domestic violence. This our first responder, not your mom that is babysitting, not your dad that doesn't want to listen to your question. Bring it to the first responder, and you all can guide them to where they can seek the proper help. And part of what you have to consider is also the structure of the family. I've seen where the wife will encourage her to call the police. By the time they call the police, both of them, they don't have their papers. All of them get deported at the end of the day. Think about that as well.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Great
So
point.
we've seen both instances where sometimes, and what I said was,
Bola, please.
If the ladies have
please.
questions, please raise your hands and we can pass the mic.
Hold on, Sister Dr. Zainab. There's a lady with a question. Where is she? Sister Rakoya? Sister Rakoya? And there's a brother with a question at the back there. It's a statement. So, but.
Really quick.
Real quick, please.
So just to highlight what Elder said,
Our father.
Lawyer LJ has said, we've seen both instances where sometimes a family member, a non-biased family, might be beneficial in the mediation process with the imam. Not necessarily, I'm not saying that we should take it to the family to kind of help with the situation, because most times they're biased and it doesn't really turn out to be beneficial. So I was talking about steps. I think most importantly, identifying mental health, help and assistance, and helping with any forms of treatment, so that the family as a unit can hopefully benefit and start to work on some of their struggles.
Okay, and I have a question for Imam real quickly. So, sometimes being a woman, you're a little bit, you're more weak and more emotional. I don't want to use the word weak, but more vulnerable and more emotional. And you go like, he's my husband. Let me forgive him. Allah says, oh, forgive. So what is your point on that?
So let me quickly answer
Sure,
the
go ahead.
first question. My sheikh mentioned a verse of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Innama amwalukum wa uladukum fitna. Now, that higher, talking about your wife, your children are fitna. Fitina is fitina, even in Arabic, even in Yoruba. Ọmọ yín àti ìyàwó yín ó lè jẹ́ bàtà wàhálà fún yín. Àbí Ọlọ́run lásìkò yìí, gbogbo àwọn tí ilé wọn ń jò kọ́lọ́n bá kó bá ní dé. Gbogbo àwọn tí gbóngbòngbò ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ láàrin lọ́kọláya kọ́lọ́n kó bá ní pẹ̀tù sí. Ilé tó sì ti ń gún kọ́lọ́n bá kó mọ́ da àrùn wọn rú. The same ayah in the Quran. See, let me just say this. All our life is about test. Everything about us, the life itself is a test. If you have, that's you having it's a test. If you do not have, not having is a test. That's what Allah says. Now, let us be positive. That's my advice. Let us be positive. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Khairu, khairukum man khairukum li alihi." That's not what I'm looking for. It says, "This life is full of enjoyment. Wa khairu mataiha al marhatun salihah." This life is full of enjoyment. The best of enjoyment that you can have is to look at your wife and say, "This is the best gift Allah has given to me." Please, let's have that in our mindset. If the Prophet says your wife is the best gift that Allah has given you, hold on to that. If Allah says the best gift Allah has given to you is your husband, look at it like that. See your husband and say, "Honey, I'm blessed that I have you." Look at your wife and say, "Honey, I am blessed to have you." People always have issue. Having problem is part of our life. Back home, I have a friend of mine. His dad is an imam. This man will go out wearing pint like fella, singing. I'm talking about a son of an imam. And you can understand what I'm talking about. This man, my good friend, alhamdulillah, is doing fantastic right now. This man will go and sing. And when I say sing, you know what I'm talking about. Wearing pint. She will do that every blessed day. And the woman, his mom, will go there and say, come on, Yamaloli. She will never curse him, even though she's boiling. She keep praying. Wallahi Rabbul Kaaba. We went to the same Arabic school. This same person. She's not wearing pint now anyway. You should know what I'm talking about. But at that moment, when marriages are like this, let's continue to pray. May Allah be our guide.
Ameen. Jazakallah khairan. Do we have a question from Sister Rukaya?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I'm glad we mentioned children when it relates to domestic violence. And then it just makes me realize, do we also consider child abuse as domestic violence? Because we have a lot of children, even adult kids, if we can call them, right, where parents hit, beat, they're not allowed to make their own decisions, they're not allowed to even go out. You'll be surprised that you'll have, I actually have a female friend where she's my age, but she can't go out by herself. She went to university here in the US, but she cannot go out by herself. She cannot even go to McDonald's or Walmart. She would need to have someone with her. She can't make her own decisions. She wants to leave, but she doesn't know how to. So are there resources for people like that? Now, this is not a marriage, but it's a child. So are there resources for such situations as well?
Yeah. So yeah, they have resources. I mean, that's child abuse, and unfortunately, I mean, I don't know the whole true story, but I'm thinking that if we have to unpack the situation, it's probably like, the mom is probably being affected, as well. So that will be my guess. Again, I don't really know the whole story, but based on what you said, it sounds like that to me. Then it will be a situation where the family as a unit will need to get help. So then it goes back to the question, like, as community, we do have work to do collectively. We can't just stand by and let things get out of control before we intervene. So yeah, there are resources available for family like that. So it could be like, as a person, individual, or as a family collectively based on their situation.
Questions from the
Yeah, let's take.
May I add a little bit here? So unfortunately, in a situation like that, women are not, they don't have any resources. So let's say they find a way to get out of that abusive environment. So the abuser, what do? They withhold the money. They withhold the resources. So for those kind of cases, we'll have to come together as a family to support those people, those women or children. Single women are at the lowest, they're below poverty line very often, right? So we as a community need to come together, create resources for those women. Some of these women have never worked, even though they went to school, because they didn't need to, because they were raising children, and raising children is not easy. Most men realize that, hopefully, after COVID, that when you have to take care of 2 kids at home, it's very, very tough. So taking your 2 kids at home, or 3 or 4 or 5, it's substantially, yes, worse. So they are doing real work, taking care of the kids, raising them, taking care of your household, and making sure that you are fed when you come home. Appreciate that. But it's very important to find resources for those people, so they don't get further abused, after leaving the situation. Some women go back to the abuser, unfortunately.
We'll take one more question here.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My question has to do with mental illness. I just want to ask, can stress trigger mental illness or any of the body ailments like diabetes or hypertension? Can they trigger mental illness? Then the second question is this: if someone is suffering from schizophrenia or a paranoid disorder, and the person doesn't agree that he has a mental issue, what is the best approach to take such a person for the treatment? Assalamu alaikum.
Wonderful question.
Yeah, so it's an excellent question. So the first answer is yes. Stress can induce mental illness, like I had mentioned earlier, that the first episode of depression, schizophrenia, bipolar mania, or even anxiety disorders happens after an incident that has happened that has created a lot of stress. And stress could be anything. It could be loss of job, death of a child, partner, or something like that. So once it starts, then it takes a life of its own. Okay. As far as medical conditions are concerned, actually people with mental illness suffer more from medical conditions than people without mental illness. Okay, and unfortunately, the problem is that people with mental illness, when they go try to get help for their physical health, they are not taken seriously. People with mental illness have 40% more chance of developing cardiac heart conditions. Okay, so that's a huge number, a huge jump. So it's very important to recognize that. Now, people who have, like, let's say of somebody who has serious mental illness, such as bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, or or they're violent, there are actually ways of getting help. You can actually go to a court, get a mental health warrant, and then the court will send cops that are specially trained to take care of those people. They will take them to the hospital against their will, and they will be treated against their will. And you hope that once they get treated, then they realize, what they were doing was wrong, or they were off. Unfortunately, a lot of times patients who have mental illness, they burn the bridges and they end up on the streets. The system, unfortunately, our system is not very well developed. I work in the hospital, I see patients, we treat them, we stabilize them, we send them out, and then there's nothing outside. And then they end up not taking medicine, getting sick, and coming back into the hospital. So it's a revolving door sort of situation. But that is something you can do, that go through the court system and get them help that they need.
Just to add to that real quick, what Dr. Shoaib has said is spot on with regards to the correlation between mental health and physical health. Working in primary care mental health integration, PCMHI, we would be at the doctor's office for someone who comes in with cardiac issues, high blood pressure, diabetes, what have you. And at the end of the day, after questioning, you find out this person is suffering from some form of depression, anxiety, and then we will have to take them on for SDA. Even sometimes, they are so depressed that, when you further ask them questions or do like a screener and ask, have you had thoughts of, asking the hard questions. I was even going to mention that we as a community have to answer straightforward, direct, hard questions. Have you had thoughts of killing yourself? When you ask them that question, get that unfortunate answer, and then you have to commit them or do something, do a safety plan and make sure that they're in safe hands. So definitely physical health correlates with mental health. The other thing about schizophrenia and is support. Not further alienation. Research has shown that for schizophrenia, you have to support as a family, as a community. If not, the person is going to further decompensate and get worse.
So another important thing to recognize is that when these people get treated, you don't demonize them. You don't, tell them that you are mentally ill. Treat them normally. Sometimes parents don't know how to treat a person who has been treated and stable, right? Treat them like normal people, like a normal adult if they're adults, and normal children if they're children, so that they don't feel that they are being, treated or mistreated or traumatized further. Because recognizing, accepting the fact that somebody has a serious mental illness is the first step to treatment and is the most difficult step. Once you get past that, then you can actually help people stabilize for the long run.
Thank you.
Jazakumullahu khairan. I want to take this moment to thank the panelists, Dr. Giwa, our main Imam, Imam Oladejo, and Dr. Shoaib, and our main Dr. Vidmas. This was a wonderful session. We're so sorry we're not able to take any more questions. Dr. Shoaib, will you be here for a couple of minutes to take a few questions? So he can take a few questions if you want to.
Yeah, offline. You will take the questions offline. If you have a question specifically for him, you can meet him offline. And also, just to remind you guys, this is just an appetizer. Inshallah, October, we have the whole family Halaqa for this issue. That's the plan for October, inshallah. Because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We're going to have Dr. Basirat Oyewuwo. She will be here. She will be doing a lot of presentation. Our Imam Oladejo will, our very own, our mother, I caught our mother by surprise. Like, yes, your daughter will be here. So, and our Imam also has a lengthy presentation. We are not able to use it today. He will also have a chance to do his own presentation, inshallah. All right, so thank you very much. Before you go, we, as our culture, I'm going to call on our father, our ex-Imam, Lawyer OJ. Please come forward. When I said ex-Imam, people were like, ex-Imam, okay, no. He used to be Imam. If you don't know, he was. I'm calling him forward. I'm calling on our mother, please come forward. So we have a culture here that whenever you come here, you don't go empty-handed. We have to give you a gift. We'll start with Dr. Shoaib. Dr. Shoaib.
First and foremost, thank you, the panelists. Your answers are very spot on, very concise, and very straight to the point. To our community, this is just the beginning. They said in there that apart from the people that we want to help, we need to learn how to help them. And I believe that will be a topic that will come up in October. And thank you for your time, and thank you for your presentation. On behalf of the Masjid, I present this to you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Oh, they want me to take picture. Okay.
Let me promote MDM and start beside them.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you. Imam Oladejo, I know you've collected this so many times, but we never stop giving it to you. You are so wonderful. God will bless you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. How are you, Dr. Giwa? Congrats. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My beautiful sisters, thank you so much for the presentation. I hope that this continues. Don't let us wait till October. Please, we need to continue this. And may Allah reward each and every one of you. Dr. Zainab, thank you all the time for always being there. My dear sister, Dr. Bidmos, thanks a lot for all your... Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yay. Thank you very much. So I have a question for sisters. Sisters, which one of your husband has this t-shirt? This high quality made t-shirt. Not made in Nigeria, made in the USA. If your husband or your sons do not have it, it's not too late. Just turn around. See there. See Shola, Brother Shola Obita and Brother Nurain Lawa. Go and register your husband. Go and register your husband. It's men we are talking about. We are not competing with women. Men convention. All right. They say ladies first after men. so our local, please register. Alhamdulillah. All right. Bro, so as an incentive, I'm going to incentivize it. So, which sisters, somebody was raising the t-shirt. Oh, okay. Ní ọmọdé ńlé, mo wá tó ní ọmọdé ńlé tí wọ́n ti register. If you have registered and you have young kids in the house, let me see, because I want to give them a gift. If your husband has registered, Nasif dàgbà jèlé lọ. Ẹ fẹ́ gba gift. Okay. Àti Mẹ́kà láti mú wá, àti Mẹ́kà ni. Okay. Ọkọ yín ló ń ṣètò. Ẹ lọ register náà. Ṣé ti register? Ẹ ti register? Ẹ ti register èèyàn méjì ní yóò kéré jù. Èèyàn méjì. Okay. Àwọn sọ yẹ fún yín mà. Actually, we're running a promo today. Okay. Iman, your daddy has registered. He has no choice. He has to. But because you're already registered, Iman, take. Your dad, he's one there now. Miriam, has your daddy registered? All right, let's quickly do it. This dad has not registered. I'm just modeling. They pay me to model this shirt. All right. Okay, so while we're doing this, Alhamdulillah, we quickly move on to our next program, our next segment. So, Alhamdulillah, we want to celebrate one of our own, our very own. I am going to read her bio and she will come forward, but I can't even see her. Is she in the house? Those who know, is she in the house? Mrs. Bello. Mrs. Bello. Okay, so while we're waiting on our next guest, so just announcement again, MBF again. So MBF registration is going on. Is discount today is if you register today, you pay $80. If you wait, we are 20% on top of it, or $20 on top of it rather. Okay. Let's keep the audio. Let's keep the videos because it looks like we cannot get the audio to work well. Okay, Alhamdulillah. So I will call on our next guest. Please let's pay attention. Our next guest is someone that I've known personally for at least 16 years now or 15 years. When I first moved to Houston, she was one of the people that I had an encounter with, and that impression has stayed with me for that length of time. That conversation we had 15 or 16 years ago has stayed with me. Alhamdulillah, I keep monitoring that conversation and see how our life has progressed. She was born in Nigeria. She moved to Houston at the age of 2. She finished memorizing the Quran when she was in 6th grade. You can do the math. In 9th grade, she went for a program called Al-Ilmiya program in Buffalo, New York, where she learned Islamic sciences as well as Arabic and Urdu. She came back to Houston and did bachelor's in biotechnology. In the meantime, she got married, and in the meantime, she went to medical school. After graduating from her bachelor's degree, she went to medical school at UTMB. And in the meantime, she said, she graduated in June, and in the meantime, Allah blessed her with a second baby, Takbir. I mean, amazing. How can you combine all those stuff together? I mean, even Bara Sharaf, he can only do one of those. Okay, mashallah. So, please, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mutmaina, Doctor. Sorry. I need to see it. Dr. Mutmaina Bello. Takbir. Takbir. Àwọn ìyá wa, welcome sister wa. Wajadina surura. Wajadina surura. Ẹni mọ̀nà ló yẹ ká tẹ̀lé wajadina surura. Wajadina surura. All right. So I don't want Mutmaina to sit alone. I want 2 ladies to accompany her. Any volunteers? I know, but don't worry, I'll call people. I'll call on Mrs. Nofifa Bello, the mother of Mutmaina Bello. Takbir. And I also know, I have privileged information to know that her mother-in-law is here. I'll call on Mrs. Adeleke. Takbir. She's not here? Oh, sorry, wrong info. My spies didn't do a better job. All right. But then I'll also call on our dad, Mr. Abdusabur Bello. Please come forward. He was like, okay. I called, wajadina, surura, wajadina, surura. Oh yeah, wajoko segbe omo. No, ẹ wá jókòó sẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ sister wa, lè máa pè náà mọ́mọ́ sí. All right. Okay, so really, what we're doing here is to celebrate them. Where's the cameraman? Brother Sharaf. Capture go moments so ṣẹlẹ̀ Alhamdulillah. Okay, let me sit down here too. Can the rest ẹsẹ̀ mi díẹ̀. So, ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa, nǹkan tá a fẹ́ ṣe akọ̀fẹ́ ọmọ wa, sister wa, Dr. Mutmaina Bello, parí medical school, the doctor ní láìpẹ́ yìí ní June, graduate. Àwọn pé most of us ní àwa sí graduation ceremony, ṣùgbọ́n tradition wa, culture wa ní family alaka ni pé àwọn tó bá ti ṣe nǹkan tí tẹ́nì kò ṣe rí. No. what to go above and beyond, we have to celebrate that person. Even though I got PhD, may be tèmi I celebrate here. Alhamdulillah. So again, I say right. Reason number one reason, okay, and I want every youngsters in the house to pay attention. Actually, let me go 3 reasons. But then the most important of them is this. We want our story to be an inspiration to every one of the young people here today. Because in our private homes, we have conversation with our kids. We ask them, what do you want to be? What career line do you want to choose? And when we ask that question, many of them are like, I don't know. Many of them are like, I don't know. But they should know. Because if you don't know right now, chances are that when you go to college, you will not even know. So that's why it's important to have this conversation. So this conversation should be an inspiration for you. Number 2, for parents, you should learn how she went through her journey so that you can understand it and also be able to maybe help your kids go through that journey. Very, very important. It not necessarily send that to New York or send your kid to New York, but at least understand that journey, have an appreciation of that journey, so that if your kid ever decides to go on that journey or you want them to go on that journey, know what it takes. So that's why we're going to have this short conversation, inshallah, in about 15 minutes. We're going to try to wrap up, but it's very important. So I'll ask Mutmaina, Dr. Mutmaina Bello, please introduce yourself properly. You know, I've not done justice to your introduction, but introduce yourself properly. How would you introduce yourself?
Assalamualaikum. As Mutmainna Bello.
Okay, maybe Daddy should introduce you.
Okay.
Okay, let Daddy introduce her. MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
I think the full name is Mutmainna Omolola Arike Bello. So, Omolola.
Omolola.
My wife is Omolara.
Aha.
So that's she was born in Lagos in December of 1994.
You're giving away my age.
Yes. And she moved with us to the United States in June of 1997, which is exactly 25 years ago. So she was not made in the US, but she's all of US.
Thank you. So, and let me disclose one personal conversation you and I had. So when I was principal of TTY, I can't remember if you were a student or a volunteer at that time, but you were here with us. So I had the opportunity to speak with you, and I asked you back then, and you were probably in maybe 8th so grade back then. I asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she told me, in clear terms, she wants to be a surgeon. I looked at, oh wow, mashallah, tabarakallah. As a principal of TTY, I ask kids all these kind of questions. These are the kind of questions. And I will tell you this. She and one other girl were the one that gave me clear answers. She said she wants to be a surgeon. The other girl did not say what she was going to be, but she said she was going to go to Harvard. Those are the others, subhanAllah, they did not give me clear answers. And those conversations, I still record them. So what made you want to be a doctor? Was there something in your background that you felt that you really is pushing you to be a doctor?
I guess I remember as a child, I always liked reading. I loved reading like voraciously, and I liked reading everything. So I remember I loved reading my health textbooks from class and just learning about how the human body works. And I always loved taking care of people. I guess maybe because I'm the oldest, daughter in a Nigerian household, I have to take care of all my siblings after me. So that was just something ingrained in me. So to combine the two of those together, medicine.
Hey, Joe, brothers, we are the one disrupting. Please, let's give our sister the audience. Okay, continue, please.
Yeah, so to combine the two of them together, my love of taking care of other people, and I guess my ingrained nature to taking care of other people, and also learning and continuously learning and understanding how the human body works. And as I grew older, also something that helped solidify my iman, just understanding how complex the body was, just made me appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even more. And I thought, to combine my love of learning and taking care of people would be medicine.
All right. So when you look at your journey, and since you and I had that conversation, you have not gone to Ilmiya, maybe I didn't pronounce it well, in New York. You were here in Houston in middle school, or maybe, yeah, middle school then. So, but then you didn't take the traditional route to be a medical doctor. I mean, you became an officer, you went to Ilm program, became a scholar in Islam. By the way, can you issue a fatwa?
No, I don't think I can create a fatwa.
All right. So you went through that. So when you look at that journey, I mean, how has that built you up to who you are as a medical doctor today?
I actually like that you asked that question, because anybody who knew me before I went to the Alamiya program actually would have probably said, yeah, Mama Ina says that she wants to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. I remember from 4th grade, that used to be my answer, that I want to be a surgeon. I'm going to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, and I really wanted to go into medicine.
Jackie, 1 second. Mrs. Akitola.
But after I went to the Alamiya program, and I remember towards the end of it, it was a boarding program. So being in school day in, day out, we had classes Monday to Saturday, and even on Sunday we had mandatory study time. So I felt like I was tired of school.
Hold on, you're going to answer that question again. Like I said, sisters now. Okay. Daddy has come to the rescue, mashallah. Up fathers. All right, go ahead.
So by that time I was feeling tired. I remember telling my mom, I'm like, I'm not sure I even want to go to college anymore. Talk less about med school. I just looked at the journey ahead, and I thought it was too long. Well, obviously I'm Nigerian. I was going to go to college. So I signed up at U of H, and I thought I was going to do something that was going to be shorter. But what I came to realize is that med school might look like a long journey, and it doesn't have to be medicine. Whatever it is that you might want to do might look like a long journey, but at the end of that time period, you're going to be older regardless. So for me, I realized, I was like, at the end of it, I'm going to be 27. In 2022, I'm going to be 27 regardless, right? Whether I go to med school or not. So might as well do what it is I want to do with that time.
So maybe I should ask this question, because you've referenced two things: parents and your the stress you went through your journey. Let's go to the parents. And you are going to answer it, and the parents are going to answer it. What resources did your parents provide for you to embark on that journey? Did they give you an incentive? Did they say, okay, Mutmaina, you know what? Just go to school. We'll take care of everybody in your financial body. Even when you get married, we're gonna take care of your kids and every stuff like that. Did they say that?
They did. I remember distinctly when I decided that I was going to switch to being a pre-med student. I remember going to my parents' bed and sitting on there and like, in med school, I'm gonna be studying all the time. I'm not gonna have time to, work on the side or anything like that. I'm gonna need your support. And I remember them telling me, yeah, that they're gonna support me if that's what I really wanted to do. And then when I got married and everybody was like pressuring me to have a child and stuff. And at first I was like, no, I'm not having a kid in med school. But when I was working with at a daycare at this time, and I got baby fever, and I remember my parents, and not even just my parents, my in-laws, and then even a lot of people here at Mu'minin would tell me, like, you have a whole family behind you, like you have a whole village behind you, we'll all help you, and that support really meant something to me.
So let's switch over to the parents now. I think Mrs. Bello will be the first person. So what kind of support did you provide? And why do you want her to be a medical doctor, by the way? Is this a Nigerian thing that parents want their kids to be doctors?
Being a medical doctor is her own thing. My own was when she told me she's tired of school. Even though she said she's tired of school, she still wanted to go to Pakistan to do takasul fiqh.
Allahu Akbar.
And my own was, now at this point in time, yes, I want you to do that, but first go to college and earn a college degree. And my reasoning was, look at Sheikh Yasser Kodi today. It was known, it was knowledgeable, but he had the respect of most people because he also has an what do you call it? I mean, the university degree.
Yes. He's a chemical,
So I said,
chemical engineer.
Yes, even though he speaks, talks Islam, but he's a chemical engineer. So it helps further to bring him into the spotlight and to have Islam being adequately respected. And that was what I wanted for her. And that was why I said that is the route we want to go. And I remember having to take going to visit her in New York and make sure she sign up to go to U of H. What do you want to do? She does no, nothing. Okay, we just put you in for pharmacy, and that's what she went in for. Even though after entering, she changed to biotech later, but it's just to put something in there, at least get a degree. That was the initial.
So let me ask you further this question. So when she changed from pharmacy to biotech, were there any fears in you that, I mean, she's going from something seemed more rigorous to something less rigorous? What kind of fear did you nurse in you?
She
And how did
graduated.
you help?
Yeah, she graduated with a bachelor's degree in biotech, which served as a pre-med. But what I've discovered is every student at some point in time will change their discipline. They are going to change. So you just have to work with them. So it might be a change that was occasioned by what they meet in school, or it might be a change that they do themselves. But bottom line is achieve the goal. That's the bottom line. Once you achieve the ultimate goal of what you're going for, it doesn't matter what changes happen during the course of the study.
Thank you. So let's quickly take any question from the audience. Brothers, sisters. Okay, thank you.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, my question is to Mutmaina and Abu Mutmaina. When she decided that she's probably tired and she's not thinking of going further with her education, I'm sure that it must be hard on you guys as parents in terms of wanting to go to Pakistan rather than, how were you able to come to a level? Nigerian parents, normally you can just make a law and expect her to just abide. But now we're in America where you have to, let her reason. So what are the kind of tools that you have to put in place to be able to, let her see what you are saying, and not also make her feel like you are pushing her too much? Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Very good question.
Let me get started by saying that there are three major milestones in our life in terms of our being in the United States, being in Masjid-ul is all by the design of Allah. But when she decided she was going to do the memorization, that was largely our own decision. So now, when it was time to go for the Alim program, that was a decision between her and our mom. So they largely kept me out of that one, but it got my blessing. So, which is what message I wanted to give all of us as parents is that let's empower our kids to take decisions. Let's empower our wives to be able to take decisions about the future of our kids, because it's always going to turn out well, because it's all meant to be well. So And I have to really commend my wife. She was the one that assisted in a lot of instances when they were doing the ifs. I may not be boasting about it. She set the example for all siblings to follow, and all of them have ended up becoming Hafiz of the Quran. Maybe they will do Halim to catch up with her. I don't know if they will do that yet. So, but it's still open. But I, as a person, will also try to do Hafiz as well.
Tekbir. Welcome to the journey, fellow journey man. All right. Okay. So we have two questions, and we'll quickly wrap. I know, but she too has a question, and I can see you raising her hand. All right.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum.
30 seconds.
Barakallah fi. So my Jazakumullah, I think you did volunteer for TTY teacher. Well, that's Jazakumullah for doing that. And I think for everyone, when you volunteer to programs, I think Allah will reward you. So my question is, how did you navigate, being in medical college where you have to do experiments, labbing, and of course you also have to take care of the way where you are with niqab and everything. How do you navigate that with the lecturers, and do you meet any challenges on the way, or can you kind of explain a little?
Thank you. Jafar, give Yusra the microphone. Please go ahead and answer the question.
Dr. Jafar.
So I think a lot of times we have a lot of blockages and obstacles in our head that are not really there in reality. I know a lot of people were really concerned about me trying to go to med school with my hijab and niqab on, and I never found any issues with that myself. I think like a lot of times we have these obstacles that we think we're going to face, and they're just really not there. I never struggled. I never had any, like, in the past 4 years, there was no issue at all with my niqab and trying to do anything like, and COVID just obviously made it easier. But alhamdulillah, I don't know if I can actually answer that question because I never had any issues. Alhamdulillah.
It takes a special person not to see that kind of what you call blockages, or that we will see that. I mean, when I see us like hijab, I mean, what's it called, niqab? How can you do that? But your question is real. We have that concern. I mean, alhamdulillah, you're a special person. You don't see it, and people who wear niqab, I really applaud you guys. Take me for you. Take me for them. Yusra, your question. Yusra.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. So I just wanted to ask, like, so I know, so from what I'm getting, so you did like your secular studies, and then like, so you did the Islamic studies and then the secular studies like separately. So do you think that it's like, if I say, for example, I don't want to take like time like off of secular studies, like, do you think it's possible to do it at the same time, like online programs? Do you think that is feasible? Like, do you think it could work doing both? Maybe like online Alima program and then like going to school?
So I actually did them together. When I memorized the Quran while doing 6th grade, and then while I was in 9th grade, 9, 10, 11, 12th grade, I did that at the Alimiya program. So I did them together, and I think it's very doable. What I've learned is that if you want to do something and you know you have a certain number of hours per day, and you allocate what you need to do, then you'll get all of it done, and you'll still have time to relax as well.
So it's about prioritizing.
Not even prioritizing per se. I guess you can call it prioritization. Just scheduling and making sure not to waste your time.
Good.
Yeah, it's been organized, not prioritizing. Yeah, that's the right word, right?
Thank you.
See? Last question.
Thank you for allowing me. Mutmaina, everybody look at this woman very well. She's a Niqabi.
MashaAllah.
She has broken lots and lots of barriers.
MashaAllah.
How did I know Mutmaina was in medical school? She came on tour. I work at UTMB and I work on the prison side, the hospital side. you have to go through checkpoints. This woman came with a niqab. Okay? For you, for TDCJ to let you come in, I'm sure she stood her ground. So I'm so proud of you. When she saw me, I'm like, hey, Mutmaina, you're just going crazy. And everybody was like, I said, yeah. And I was so talking about I could not stop. When I was looking, I like to look at the match. You know how you have the basketball thing?
Mm-hmm.
They have that in medical school. So every March, I look at our students. And I saw Mutmaina. Mutmaina is doing residency in anesthesiology
MashaAllah.
at UTMB.
Allah
This
Akbar.
woman brought the career of, number one, a woman, a black woman, and a niqabi. I'm so proud of you.
Allah Akbar. Takbir.
I mean, if you people who are in the medical field, they will tell you how hard it is to get into anesthesiology residency.
MashaAllah. I know.
May Allah
I know.
continue. Look, I'm so
Allah
proud.
Akbar.
When I
You
saw
see,
your,
our father is smiling. MashaAllah.
yes, when I saw, let me tell you, when I saw her name, right, I was telling people, my colleagues, and somebody said, oh, Sharifa, because Khalid, Sharifa has this. I said, yeah, that's the same girl.
Allah Akbar.
And I told them about my Mutmaina. They said, what kind of a woman is that? Oh, she has 2 children. Why doing medical school? Mutmaina, may Allah continue to be with you and
Ameen.
guide you.
Amen.
May you, everything you lay your hands on, may Allah make it a success for you.
Amen.
You are really carrying the torch of Islam.
Amen.
You're really making us, especially Muslim women, very proud.
Especially Mumini community.
Mumini
proud.
communities.
Allah. Takbir.
Allah Akbar.
You know, sisters and brothers, this is why we are here, to inspire you. I hope you're inspired by this.
Yes,
I hope you're inspired. I mean, I'm going to go back to school now. I'm going to go study medicine. I'll break the ceiling. I'll be the first guy to wake up.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah. We have lots of questions, but as always, there's no time. We wanted to talk about your marriage, you're having kids, but you can see Dr. Jafar Ali, who is already on my neck. So I will skip that one. So I'll call on our sister, Dr. Zainab Oyebamiji, to come and do a presentation for you, as always. Mother, and you can step forward.
Mutmaina, I'm very honored to be the giver of this gift
Come
to
down,
you.
Mutmaina, so that we can take pictures.
No doubt that you are the coolness of your parents' high, and I pray that you continue to be. I pray that it's not only you, as your siblings have followed you in ifs. So, inshallah, I pray that they follow you in everything. Dr. Nafifa Bello, you prepare the journey. Allah guided you. So you are sharing the title. I said, Dr. Nafifa Bello, thank you very much for being the making yourself and your family the template of our community. My brother, I know it's in the blood, it's in the family. You always do it, you do it right. Thank you so much for all you do. May Allah continue to reward you. Every struggle behind all these things that we are seeing, there's a struggle, whatever it is between you and Allah, that you cannot split to human being. May Almighty Allah please help you overcome it, inshallah. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Takbir. I want to see many more medical doctors from our girls, from our boys. I want to see more engineers. I want to see more lawyers. I want to see more Shakir Olakos. No, we don't. No, Abalis go. Thank you.
Yeah, Jazakallah khairan. We want to especially thank Dr. Mutmaina for making it despite our tight schedule.
Despite all that is going on.
Yeah,
I'm really proud of you. Thank you very much.
Jazakumullahu khairan jaza.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now
Kusia
you
Jasama.
wonder why we have these trophies here.
Yes,
For those
that
of
one-
us who came in late, And we have not even presented the trophies. Now you are going to the cocoa of the cocoa while we have the trophies here. Sisters, we are celebrating our youngsters today. We are celebrating our kids, young adults today. So these trophies that you see here, it actually represents the journey of some of our young kids. And I cannot even describe the journey as much as they would describe it, but I'll try to explain it briefly. When they come forward, they will do the greater explanation of their journey. You know, Allah has given us several gifts. Some of us, we can mix drugs together. Some of us, we know how to cut leaves, like herbalist.
Alhamdulillah.
Some of us,
Dr. Lawana.
we are given the gift of the gab. We can talk. Some of us can talk. And some of us are very shy. That's actually a gift. So the next set of people I'm going to invite, Allah has given them the gift of talking. They can talk very, very well. And they've used that talk to help propel the name of our community to greater height. They've used that talk to get us recognized at the district level, at the state level, and at the national level. When I say national, I'm talking about the US of A. That's how far they have gone. Now, I'm going to introduce them. I'm going to say, call them one after the other, and when you hear your name or your bio, please come forward. So this guy is a rising junior at Seven Lakes High School. Born at the West Houston Medical Center, he has spent a lot of time in different parts of the world, including Egypt, Ghana, and Abu Dhabi. He likes playing basketball. Why didn't you put soccer there? Because I know you play soccer. And also be a computer science engineer in the future. And maybe, he said, maybe a politician later in life. Ladies and gentlemen, he already has one of the gifts that Obama has. So you will notice that today. Please help me welcome Fadil Lawal. Takbir. All right. Allah Akbar. Yes. Egbato.
Yeah.
You are Lomolo.
Support me lórí ìyá.
You are Lomolo ni. You are ni. All right. This next person was born in College Station. Wow. Ìlú ìwé náà ti bí o. He moved to Austin, where he lived for 10 years, then later left to school in Egypt to memorize Quran. He finished Quran at the age of 11, Takbir, and came back to the US. Then moved to Houston 5 years ago. And now he said, I am here. All right. So he's going to be a senior in high school this coming year, school year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Abdurrahman Aziz. Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Okay. Okay, all right. Bio, last person, no. What is our bio? Huh? Show WhatsApp. Let's send this. Okay, let me check, please. Okay, yes. Thank you very much. So this person, this sister, this special sister, always smiling, is an incoming freshman at Texas A&M University in College Station. Takbir. She started a speech and debate journey in a high school year in a program called Program Oral Interpretation, Dramatic Interpretation, and Draw Interpretation. Wow. During a short time in this activity, she was able to be at the final of the Texas Forensic Association State Tournament and at the National Individual Events Tournament of Champions. She plans to further her speech and debate career at A&M. All right. Tekbir, please help me welcome our sister Latifat Adeshina. Latifa Adeshina.
Takbir.
Tekbir.
Allahu Akbar.
You can see she's always smiling. Now, I used to confuse her with Shakira, but I don't confuse her any longer. Come this way, this way, this way.
Okay.
When they were younger, I was like, Shakira, Latifa, Shakira, Latifa. But no, I don't do that again.
Nítorí pé ǹjẹ́ Shakiru àbí?
Ẹ má worry. Màá mú yín lọ́jọ́ kan. All right. Alhamdulillah. See, so they've gone through an incredible journey, and we want to use their story, their journey to inspire our younger ones. Please, I want our parents to pay attention because we don't want this trend to stop on them. We want to see other kids in our community represent us at the national level. So that's why it's important to do this. Youngsters, I'm where are the young boys?
Tony.
Yeah. We need the boys. Yeah. Okay, fathers, let me focus on you now. Fathers, please. These stories you are going to hear, please make sure you pass it on to your boys and let them emulate these kids. So let's quickly go. Each one of you should get a mic. How many mics do we have?
Yeah, this is another one.
So you guys can share a mic. All right, so I'm going to ask you questions quickly. Okay, so. One second, let me. All right, so like I said, I could not describe the journey and what they're doing very well. Can I do that? And they will be able to do that. So the question, any one of you can answer this question. What is speech and debate? Describe really what is this journey all about? Who wants to go first? You want to do ladies first or you want to do guys first? Okay, rock, paper, scissors. Okay, Abdurrahman, they push it to you. They already volunteered. You can. What is debate and speech? What really is this? So, okay, why are we here? Why are we celebrating you? Let's put it that way.
Okay, speech and debate is exactly as it says, speech and debate. We have lots of events. Mainly, me and Fidel, what we do is congressional debate, which is basically mock Congress. We pretend to be congressmen and we don't pass any legislation, just like the actual U.S. Congress. And speech and debate, that's just one of the events in speech and debate. There's lots of things for anyone to try. For debate events, there's Lincoln Douglas debate, there's public forum, which are basically debate events where you debate morals and policies that the US should and other countries should have in place. There's world schools, there's team events, there's lots of things in debate that you can try out and for people to debate with other people. And then we have speech events, which I'm sure Latifah can tell you better about.
But yeah, is it on? Turn it on. Push stop.
Assalamualaikum.
Yeah, Alex. Salam.
Okay, so the speech shot of speech and debate is basically like you make a speech that consists of like different literature and stuff. So there's two sides of speech. There's PA and there's interp. PA is basically like you make a speech. It can be an original oratory. It can be an info. You have like visual aids to help further your speech. And then there's interp where like you take like any form of literature. It can be poems, it can be a book, a play, a drama, and you splice it up, you cut it into a 10-minute performance, and then you use that to make an argument, basically.
Thank you. So, question, Fadil. So, if a youngster in our community wants to follow your track, how would they follow your track? What would they need to do?
First thing I would do is look at your school. Most schools in the United States, especially in Texas, have a speech and debate program already established. If they don't have an actual class for it, they'll have an extracurricular program. And then from there, if you're young enough, if you're not in your senior year yet, you can even push the school to have debate as an actual class, which looks very good on your record. If you don't have anything at your school, there's debate like communities, I guess, like not part of the school, but like on their own that you can join as well. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to join speech and debate. It's attempting to be a very inclusive society now. So there's many opportunities for people to join.
All right. So what are really the benefits of being part? I mean, what do you think are the benefits? What have you gained, and what would do you stand to gain by being part of this kind of activity?
I'd say the main thing with speech and debate is being able to speak. Get up here without any fear or anything and be able to speak to a crowd of people without any say my mind, speak my mind, and say what I want to say at any time. It's something that it's really helped me be able to do this on a daily basis. It helps me from just talking to normal people to giving speeches to crowds of people. Speech and debate really allows you to do this easily. I used to have stage fright. I can say I used to have stage fright before I joined speech and debate, but after doing speech and debate for 2 years now, it's completely gone, and I have no problem with speaking in front of a crowd of people. That's mainly one of the things that speech and debate has allowed me to do. But then on top of that, it has also gotten me in the know with current events and stuff like what's going on in the world and what's going on in the United States, politics and all of this. Speech and debate has really made me get my knowledge up to speed in the status quo.
So that seems to be like the short-term gain. And I know somebody said he wants to be a politician. Is that why you want to be a politician? Is that why you're training to? I mean, what other benefits do you think?
I mean, that's one aspect, but another aspect is, Abdurrahman touched on it, but being able to learn from speech and debate and like teach people, I guess. Okay, just like a small short story. I don't know if a lot of people saw the video, like, yeah, the video that went around, right?
Yes, the viral video.
But after that happened, the person that I was referencing throughout the entirety of the speech, he came up to me after round and he was like, I had no idea that the reason why prisoners aren't allowed to vote is because they're minorities. I didn't know that was the case before. So like things, if you're able to educate people like that and be educated, that's one big part of speech and debate that I think helps people not only in the short term, but long term, because that's another person that can help advocate for prisoners. That's another person that can help advocate for education reform.
Thank you very much. I know the Adan has been sounding. That means we're really short on time, but we still want to ask questions. So, Latifa, when you go to college, what events do you really want to do? What kind of things do you want to do to further all these skills you have acquired?
All of them basically, because in high school you're only allowed to do like 3 or 1 event, but in college you can do like all 6 of your events. So I'm really planning on expanding my horizons in college.
Okay, thank you. Allah make it easy for you. Allah make it easy for you. So you know what? I want to put this guy on the spot. I want to put them on the spot. See, we've seen the videos. How many of us have seen the video of Fadil? If you have not seen the video, you're really missing. Please. But then I want to put them on the spot. I want to do a reenactment. So they're going to do a mini debate. I only give them 1 minute 30 seconds each. So I'll ask them a question now. You don't know? I'm going to give you this question. Are you ready? Are you sure? Are you ready? And I'll start timing. Fadi, you're going first. Impromptu topic. Discuss the existence of plea bargains in the American judicial system. That is it. Yeah, you have 30 seconds to think about it. And then 1 minute, 30 seconds to answer it. And then Abdurrahman, you give the reporter. Oh yeah. Bang, bang. Oh yeah, put the mic. Let's hear you.
For those of you who don't know what plea bargains are, they're basically like a deal between the prosecutors and the defendants to essentially speed up the case. That way they don't have to go to trial. The person can just get sentenced within like 10 minutes or so. All the defendants and prosecutors have to do is establish a meeting and make sure that they know what charges they're going to pick up and which ones are going to get dropped. Okay, so I'd say that on net, this is beneficial to our system because without it, our system would basically crash, right? We don't have a lot of public defenders right now. These people are carrying the system. If you remove plea bargains, which they use the majority of the time, it means that they then have to go to trial, which is extremely lengthy, which means that whatever small time that they have isn't going to go into like being able to build up good cases for their defendants. It's going to go into these trials, which means that everybody who's going to go through a public defender is probably going to get sentenced and is not going to be let free. On top of that, these plea bargains are also used for confidential informants, like people who are like part of a crime syndicate and are used to bring down like El Chapo, right? They use confidential informants to take down super big drug organizations. And in order
10
to do that,
seconds.
you need to have plea bargains with these people to make sure that the information they're giving you is legit and that they have an actual reason to cooperate.
Thank you. Takbir. All right, Roberta, Abdurrahman. You want to go? You want me to start your time? You want to think about it? Okay, go.
Now, as Fidel said, plea bargains are very important in the status quo, as 90 to 95% of cases in the status quo that are solved through plea bargains, meaning the defendant just says that they're guilty and accepts it and gets a shorter sentence. What Fidel completely fails to recognize is that plea bargains are unjust in their nature, as they specifically target lower income constituents and minorities. These people, they don't have the money to pay stuff like bail to get out of jail early, and many of them are stuck in a place where if they don't get out of jail, if they're stuck waiting for trial or whatever, they're faced with a position where they're going to lose their jobs, they're going to lose their rent, they're unable to support their family and stuff. So many of our lower income people and our minorities like us would put in the situation where even if they're not guilty for the crime they commit, they would plead guilty in order to get out of jail earlier, just so that they can support their families, which is completely unjust and upturns the entire system of justice we have in the United States to protect the
10 seconds.
And because of this, we can't say in the status quo that people are innocent until proven guilty. People are innocent as long as they have
Thank
the
you.
money.
All right, mashallah. I like that. I like that. So let me find something for Latifa. Okay. This is completely mundane. All right. So, Latifa, you have 1 minute, 30 seconds. Talk about, are there more doors or wheels in the world?
I'm sorry?
More doors or wheels in the world?
Okay.
Are there more doors? Ilekun.
Does my time start now?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to think about it? I'll give you 10 seconds to think. You start? Okay, go.
Okay, so I believe that there are more wheels than doors in the world, because with every door there are mechanisms in the doors. So with every door there are wheels to turn the doors. So with every door there's multiple wheels that comes with it. Also in cars there's at least 4 doors and 4 wheels in every car, generally, correct? But let's say there's cars like trucks with multiple wheels, then there will be more wheels than cars, and there are multiple cars that have more wheels than doors. Yeah, that's basically my argument.
Thank you very much. I mean, you see how difficult it is? Put them on the spot and give them a topic to talk about. I'm sure if you give me that one, I'm say M. Junior advocate, inshallah, they become senior advocates. I mean, Takbir. And I'm sure our father here, the lawyer OJ, he actually appreciates your argument. And I'm sure he's going to, appreciate it very well. Takbir. So, but I'll call on Ridwan to come and give them a gift. And then I'll call on Sister Yusra, to come and give a gift. Please, let's Takbir. Takbir. Yusra, you are a senior or junior in college? I mean, high school. Senior in high school, mashallah. And Ridwan, you are what? Junior in college, mashallah. Mashallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm honored to be able to present this award to Brother Fadil and Brother Abdurrahman. May they allow you guys to keep seeing the success in the mu'mineen community, and may they be used as role models again and again and again. May we see more of our kids and more of the youth in the community be able to achieve success like they have. Oops.
Come and stay here.
Okay. I'm so proud of you and happy for you that you were able to accomplish this. I know us in the back, we're like literally looking up to you right now, and all the adults as well. They're so proud of you. And so may Allah make this journey easy for you. I know you said you wanted to do more in college. May Allah make that easy for you and let you reap the benefits of that. So with that, we present this award to you. So thank you.
Takbir! Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, Latifa. Shakira, thank you. All right, so yeah, Alhamdulillah. So we'll quickly move on to the next one. I will call on a representative of Mumini Documentary, Brother Abdul Sabur Bello, to quickly give us a quick presentation of where the status of things stand.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have a community that started. Who knows when Mominin started? Who knows when this community started? Yes? 1998? No. So what this committee is doing is we want to document the story of this community. It has become important because those who started this community are growing older and older, and we want to make sure they get a chance to tell their story. So, iṣẹ́ tá à ń ṣe ni pé a fẹ́ sọ ìtàn Mùmínì, ibo ló ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ tá a fi débi tá a wà yìí. There are a lot of people involved in Mùmínì, and what we are trying to do is, one, we want to write a book about Mùmínì. We want to do a documentary about Mùmínì. But because it's a moving story, this is a project that will probably be revised every 5 years. So as we are here today, we are telling part of the story with all of the things we did today. So to that extent, I'm going to invite to join me in doing this presentation the first Imam of Muminin in person of Brother O.J. Lawal. Takbir. A lot of people think that we made a mistake when we said he was the first Imam. So, but indeed, he was one of the very first Imam. So, Brother Sharaf, can you help me put up my slide so that we can go through the slide? So, what we are doing is a committee was formed. It's an ad hoc committee, which means that once the assignment is done, we are going to be dissolved. So, this is our status report as of today. These are the members of the committee. Dr. Nuruddin Rahman is the chairperson of the committee. Lawyer O.J. Lawal is there. Brother Abdul Ghaffar Adisa. Let these people stand up if they are here. Dr. Rahman. Okay. Okay, we have Brother O.J. Lawal here. Brother Abdul Ghaffar Adisa. Takbir. Imam Abdurrahman Adeshokon. Takbir. Brother Tawo Salau. Brother Surajuddin Seriki. Brother Vikrullah Ishola. Sister Oluwatoyin Aralepo. Myself, Abdul Sabur Bello, and the secretary of the committee is Brother Abdullah Daudu. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, this is the timeline. The first meeting of the committee was on October 3, 2021. Like I said, it's an ad hoc committee. We meet once every 2 weeks. We have sent messages out to a lot of people, but there are committees behind it putting these messages together. A lot of you have received our notices. We have records and documents subcommittee and monitoring committee. So we are employing you. If you have any information that's relevant to the history of Muminin, please send it to this email address, archive@masjidmuminin.org. archive@masjidmuminin.org. You will see as we go along that there's a lot of story. Next slide. Okay, I want to say that 90% of the document we are working with now was given to us by Dr. Nuruddin Rahman. Takbir. May Almighty Allah spare his life for us. He has been a very, very good source of information. There is no document that has passed through Dr. Rahman that he has not kept a copy of it. So we have a basis to write a story based on facts at this time. But we are waiting for other people to also contribute because he cannot have all the story. We want to acknowledge the contribution of these people that have responded to our request. So Mrs. Idiat Babajide, Alaja Mujibat Karim, Mr. Bolaji Daudu, Alaja Abdurrahman Rahman, Alaja Molikat Ilo, Bra Ismail Chimo, and Alaja Moibat Oyewuwo. If your name is not here and you think you have sent us something, please check with me. Maybe I was wrong. So, but we need more information from more people. To this extent, I will.
Before you proceed, to my sisters, it doesn't mean that the document you have to be old. It can be recent document as far as 4 years ago, or even as far as last year or this month. Whatever you think you have that you think we need to tell that story to this community, please make it available to us.
Next slide, please. So this is the way we are organizing the book or the story as it is. So this is the preface. We're going to have the title page, a dedication page, content, acknowledgement, and introduction. And then we go into the story.
What goes, the way the methodology, or allow me to bring it down, the way we set up this writing or the documentary for right now is to look at how we can really relate the story in so many ways. Some of the ways it has to be chronology, some of them will be in the way things happen. And thinking through that over the last 6 months or 9 months now that we've been working on it, we have developed some of these ways, and Brother Sabo will go through those ways with you right now.
So, like Oje said, there is a lot of chronology, but we don't want to bore you with just the story of chronology. We want to go at it subject by subject, topic by topic. So the very first one is the next page. We don't tell a story successfully by not painting the picture of what was before. Before Muminin, we need to find out what really, how can you say that Muminin started now if you don't know what was happening before? So to that extent, I will let OJ explain what we have agreed to do.
On that area that you are looking at, what we call the situation before, we will be telling the stories of this community, Nigerian communities, of what was our intent when we came to this country. Many of us, when we came to this country in the 70s, some parents were not even born. In the 70s, what were we doing? Our plan is to get our education and return back to Nigeria. Many of us at that time, we did not, was thinking about even having an establishment. For those of us who are still a practicing or semi-practicing Muslim, we ended up praying at other places. We don't think of having our own. We will get into we've talked about education and certification. At that particular time, the decision is whether we want to stay or go back to Nigeria. That's what we are busy thinking about. And then things started happening. scholarship from federal government increased the population of Nigerians coming to the U.S. at that time, because around 1976, the federal government of Nigeria started.
OJ, don't give them all the story yet.
You should not know all the story.
Yeah, they will
Just
have,
follow the rule.
yeah, they will have to buy the book when it is finished and read it. So, but basically what we are doing is we are going to paint a picture of what the situation was before. And we are lucky we have people who are here before then who can paint the picture. Next slide.
The next one.
Next slide is talking about the gatherings.
How
At the first beginning, it was not even an organization that was formed, but there were gatherings. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, and then you can see the format that the gatherings has, how we go to each other's house to have a kicker. How did we get there? We started having children. We started that, and then you see how we do a Salatul Iskaria in each other's houses, and then you see how we held parties, money collections, how we first rented our 2-bedroom that we used to have our masjid in this community, how we have the need to open bank account. Our first president, at that time, we don't use coordinator. We use president. Our first president at that time was Alhaji Seriki. Many of you still don't know that he's still existing. Bra Seriki, stand up so they can know you. You. Nowadays, they know him as Universal Imam. But he used to be our first president of this masjid. Thank you, sir. And how we start gathering, opening account, Eid, and gathering social functions. That is the story we're going to tell under the gatherings.
So
next slide.
Next slide, please. The next slide is going to talk about what led to registration. We're going to share some of these documents in the book. The registration, the initial registration that Brother Seriki did, how they started looking for facility, the decision on calling the community Muminin. So you will find out what the original name was before it became Muminin, how we registered, even TTY. At the same time that Muminin was registered, TTY was registered. And all of the other things about the registration and organization. Next slide. Then this is a myth of the story.
But Absabu, before you talk about that, let me quickly pass an announcement so that people don't get up. Inshallah, we have one very, very crucial announcement coming up after this. So because of that, the Imam, on the authority of the Imam, he has allowed us to make Salatul Zuhr at 2:15 today. Please do not leave this room until around that time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, OJ can talk about some story about the Imams.
Well, listen, when we started, we have Imam, all of us are volunteers over the period for many years. And then as we grow older, we have different people serving us in different roles. There are so many big stories behind the imamship until we have Imam Adeshokon. He's been with us now since 1996, 98. Imam joined us since 1998, and he has really shepherded this organization to where we are today. Jazakallahu khairan. Thank you.
So
next one.
It's almost like the story of Abdurrahman Adeshokon is also the story of Muminin in a lot of instances. Next slide. Then we talk about the structure and the organizations. And here we have to acknowledge the role of Dr. Rahman. Dr. Rahman is the one who always talk about structure. Establish the structure and everything will follow. Put the structure down and everything will follow. We are really blessed to have him. And it was the structure that he worked on that allowed him to have a lot of these documents. Because we are going to tell the story here about all of the different constitution and bylaws and other things that were, there was time in Muminin when we were having election. And our election was serious. we used to have policemen come from outside to supervise our election and gun and other things. So, but by the grace of Allah, we have moved from election to nomination, and everybody is happy for it. The Almighty Allah bless all of us. And how we move from president to admin coordinator. Next slide. We are running late. So
under this slide, we outline and showcase all our past administrators. And under each administrators, we believe very strongly that they have their opportunities and their challenges. I'm using this moment to encourage all the names that have served us over there to really take the time out to provide us with a write-up of what they consider to be their successes and their challenges during the time that they run this masjid or run these organizations.
We are not removing the fact that there were women coordinators that were also involved. It's just that to write this story, we are going to use these eras as a period. We are going to tell the stories of the women coordinators as well.
Of the executives.
Yeah, and the entire executive team. Next slide. So then we go to the facilities. The different facilities that's been used. How we started off in Beach North, Cedar Gap, renovation of it. We bought some property on Belknap, and then before we came to this 2-acre property on Benin Drive, a lot of people are telling, oh, why don't you have it close to us? But we are blessed that this is where Allah has put us, and we are blessed with what we have been able to do at Foundry Meadow. So we are going to tell all of the story of the different facilities that this committee has been blessed with. Next slide.
Okay. And then we get to the masjid services. How did we start? What we were doing, how we established Jummah services, the 5 times daily prayer, how our naming ceremony is getting to be so well entrenched into the system that we have in place, and so many other programmings that we have. The one that is of interest to me is the funeral services and how we're trying to expand it now to where we would really like it to be. At the present time, I think we're talking about having some places where it will just be basically for Muslim to bury their deads, therefore that is another area there.
So let's just move to the next set of slides. These are work in progress. We are going to tell the story of TT1 and educational services, sub-entities of finance and fundraising, all the other programs. So there's still a lot of gaps that we need to fill. So we still need you, if you have information, to give us information so that we have a comprehensive story about the masjid. So we want to talk briefly about our challenges.
Okay.
Let's talk briefly about our challenges. Next slide. Yeah.
Okay, our challenges, and I'm going to be asking our mothers as well as our fathers in the audience, please look at our challenges. No single person can make an island. And no matter how an island is big, if the lagoon is not flowing, we don't call it an island, we call it a peninsula. We need you. We need each and every one of you. For you that have some of our stories, or that you have some things you remember that we can use. We are not an epitome of knowledge. For those of us that you put there, we want to count on you to give us what you think we can make this book to be very comprehensive. We need that cooperation of the coordinators and the executives. And when we're saying executives, our woman, Alaja Ye Pariwo, Ejen Pari Oro Temi, Emma Binu, Ejen Sotemi Ton, Majeke Soti Mombo. I'm appealing to you, my mothers. I'm appealing to you. Please give us this information. We cannot write the story of Masjid Muminin without you, our grandmas, without you, our women coordinators, without the role that you are feeding us all the time. We need to include your stories. And you need to give us this information so we can make it a comprehensive write-up. If you have pictures, if you have time to do some write-ups, write it up and give it to us, and we will read it and find a way to incorporate it into what we are writing. And I'm going to appeal also for those people that we are being charged with this job. I'm calling out all my members. It's 10 of us. It's only 4 or 5 of us meeting all the time. Please, if you don't want to serve, let us know. Let us know so we can replace. But we need everybody to serve. Please serve. And God will make it an easy task.
So once the book is ready, we don't want anybody complaining we didn't have a chance to contribute. So please, this is the time for you to contribute. I'm going to end this presentation by just showing us some pictures that came across while we were working on this project. This is just very small sample. So look at that.
Is that our lawyer OJ?
That is lawyer OJ
Allah Akbar.
conducting a naming
Allah
ceremony. Takbir.
Allah Akbar.
So when we say he's an imam, this is the proof. Next picture. Who knows this person? Allahu Akbar.
Allah Akbar.
This was the fundraising that Elijah Kotun attended. Next one. Who is this?
Elijah Ilokoni.
That's Elijah Mulikat Ilo.
Allah Akbar.
This was when we did the fundraising at Omni Hotel. And let's look at the last one. Who are these?
Well, I saw you here. TTY.
Who can identify all the small kids in front there? They
Let
are
me
all
see.
babas now.
Let me see.
That is Ahmad Adeniji.
Ahmad Adeniji.
You can see him
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So, if you have pictures,
Is that
about-
is this the country? Cousin?
yeah.
MashaAllah.
So that's Brother Abdullah Daudu. This is TTY at the origin. So if you have pictures, please send it to archive@masjidmomini.org. May Almighty Allah bless us and reward us.
Please let us entertain 2 questions because I saw Elijah Oyeyibo. She's been raising up her hand all this time.
Okay, only 2 questions, sir. And which question is 30
I'm
seconds?
going to make it brief.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Because we
Rabbil
still have one
Alamin.
presentation.
For the committee doing this presentation, let me say the email that was sent did not give a clear instruction as to what you want us to do. I promise you, with this presentation, you're going to get a lot of feedback. You got a lot of documents.
Did they ask for videos? Did they?
No. It was just tell us what you know. But now we know. Even like, let's say, for example, I'm already looking around. Is Dr. Habib around? Because
Yes.
I serve on the same committee, executive with Dr. Habib. And as a group, we can come up with what we did during our regime. Yes. And every other executive.
But
should do
Shada
that.
is already
Salaam
doing that for us.
Assalamu alaikum. I want to thank Allah for this endeavor. It's something that's been long in the that really need to
Yes,
let
sir.
us know where we're coming from. But one thing I do want to ask is that I think what's going to be helpful is if it's possible to actually incorporate the youth into the part of the committee. The reason why I say that is that there are going to be some questions of things they want to answer that could actually help the whole package
Yeah.
to take it to the next level. So it's just a
In fact,
question.
in
Assalamu
terms
alaikum.
of media also, because I can see you guys are using old school technology. You need to use it.
Brother Femi, I love your question. Please, since you suggested that no good deed goes unpunished, you give me 2 or 3 of them that will work, and we will bring them in.
Inshallah.
Okay?
So,
Give me 3 of them. Say these 3 are ready to volunteer, male or female, it doesn't matter. Tell them that they should get in touch. We will let them know our next meeting. At all our meetings, we provide lunch.
Sir.
Okay, let them join us.
Now, sorry to take out of diverge, but the kids at daycare, the parents are asked to come and pick them up. For the sake of Allah, please go and take your
money
kids. Before Salat.
Okay, now Salat is at 2:15. Okay, so quickly, Kahoot, we have gifts for you for Kahoot. but we cannot do Kahoot until after Solar. So your parents have to be patient with you. So Kahoot, some gifts here for Kahoot, and Brother Sharaf has some gifts for Kahoot. We're going to car wash too. If you have not paid, like Brother Sharaf, make sure you pay before you leave.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right, Brother Sharaf, please.
Assalamu alaikum. This is a Platform 2022 update.
Platform.
Please let us pay attention.
Rhode Island.
Let us pay attention. Platform 2022. When you see Baba Yehuwo, you know it's platform. But something is going to be different this year. Something is going to be different.
Let's listen. Let's listen. It's very important. Rhode Island to go to Rhode Island is very expensive. They are finding us solutions for you.
That's not the only thing. It's not only about the expense.
You're going to pay my airfare.
It's about the logistics.
Mashallah.
So let's pay attention. We know platform is very dear to all of us. A lot of the youth in our community, especially after 2 years of not having platform in person. And we know a lot of things have changed. Let us be realistic with ourselves. It has become more expensive. The logistic has become more challenging. So a lot of things are going to be different. The first thing that we're going to notice as a difference this year is platform is going to start, the registration is going to start earlier. The registration is going to open earlier than usual. In 5 days' time, July 1, the registration will open. So that's one big difference. And the registration window, it's going to be shorter, meaning we're not going to have till October, November to register. That's a big one. 3, Baba Oyewuwo will not bear that burden that he used to bear, that he will come here and sit down here every Sunday and be registering people. There won't be opportunity for Sunday idea. Mo register leni, mo fun Baba Oyewuwo $200. To by the next month, ma san $200. That is not going to happen this year. This year, the platform organizers are not going to be responsible for putting people in rooms in which what it means is your son will not be staying in the same room with somebody that he doesn't know, that you don't know. You are going to be in control of whom you stay in the room together. But like Attorney OJ always says, one good turn deserves another. No good deeds go unpunished. With that comes responsibility. It's a little bit more expensive. We know prices have gone up. Prices have gone up. So next slide, please. Taluwa in the control room. So, slide platform is going to happen December 23 to December 27. So mark your calendar. December 23 to December 27. If you need to take time off from work, if you need to plan your logistics, December 23 to December 27. So what are the things that are different? We've talked about the reduced number of attendees. The reason why that there will be...
Salam alaikum. Women, can you please sing? This is very important, especially
sisters,
if you are interested to let your children go to this platform. If you are not paying attention now, you're going to be too late because they have limited space for the whole nation.
Our grandma lọ sí platform oníkẹ́yìn náà ká gbọ́ kọ́tán sọ àwọn grandma.
A mọ̀ pé ní yíyá yìí kì í ṣe gbogbo àwọn tó fẹ́ lọ sí hajj ni wọ́n láǹfààní àti lọ. Quota system.
Oh, ẹ̀yin náà ti ṣe quota.
There is quota also in platform. It's not everybody that wants to go that will be able to go because of the limitation that we have to be able to accommodate people conveniently and the limitation of the hotel room that we have. So that is why the registration is going to open early and it's going to be for a short period of time. So take advantage. July 1, that platform, that registration portal will be launched and we'll have opportunity to register. Okay. So there will be limited number of attendees. 1,100, 1,200. Bashik Banidalas the last time because of those limitations. So that is one. So let us be ready. Everybody that will be attending this year's platform, you will need to be fully vaccinated. For COVID-19, you will need to be fully vaccinated. And what the requirement is, you will need to upload your vaccination card. Even if you upload something, you just upload any ofege. The medical team will check your record in the background. And if it is not valid, if it is not a COVID vaccination card, you will be denied attendance at platform this year. So that's another big one. Registration is individual and family based. Ibi tí mo ti sọ pé bàbá òye wúwo wọn ni wá jókòó síbí ní every Sunday. So there will be a registration website tí a máa share ní July 1. And before you go into that registration website, ẹ ti ṣe bóyá okay o, me as a family, èmi àti ìyàwó mi àtọmọ méjì la máa jọ mú yàrá kan. So you are paying for one room and you are paying the registration for each member of your team or your roommate based on their age, based on their group. I'm okay, group 4 and 5, $180. That's the registration fee. Group 2, 3, $140. So, attendees, okay, so attendee lo ma determine roommate. Platform kan ló máa allocate àwọn èèyàn sí room. So tẹ́ bá fẹ́ ẹ lè ní bóyá ọmọ yín, àwọn ọkùnrin àti ọmọ rẹ̀ yín, àwọn náà jọ máa wà ní room, but that decision will be entirely yours. So roommates, okay, there is no blended in person. So next slide. So ibi tí ọ̀rọ̀ owó wà nìyí, registration and hotel. Ó máa dàbí shopping cart ni. Tẹ́ bá mú bàbá ìyá $180, $180, ọmọ $140. Tó bá jẹ́ ọmọ kékeré ni $50, or iye tó bá jẹ́ based on their age group bí. Iye tó bá jẹ́ under 2 years free, 2 to 5, 50, 6 to 9, 50. So tẹ́ bá ti mú registration, ẹ wá mú, tẹ́ bá ju mẹ́rin lọ, ẹ wá mú yàrá kan, which is $380 for the entire period of platform. So èèyàn mẹ́rin, maximum of èèyàn mẹ́rin nínú yàrá kan for the entire 5 days, which is 4 nights, $380. When you look at it, that's $95 per room, all in. So what's the registration fee? What it covers? It's the oúnjẹ, logistics, lectures, àtàwọn supplies. So registration, it's different from hotel. But you are paying it once you do all of those registrations. And at that point in time, you bring out your credit card and you pay. So $200 deposit, it's not going to happen this year. So let us be prepared. We wanted to do this 2 weeks ago when we had the FIC, but we only had the opportunity to prepare. So that's about it. We know there will be questions and clarifications. We may not be able to take it now.
Okay.
Let me come in there. At this time,
sisters, please.
At this time, we are not
Sisters,
going by.
we are not going to register for your convention if you don't keep us silent. So
At this time, we are not going by road. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá ń count mọ̀ pé a máa gbé bus sílẹ̀. This time around, we are not going by road because of the fee. It's going to cost $460 per person in the bus. We are not taking that risk. So if you know you have the means of going to this year platform, start looking at the airline and see which one can be favorable to you. The fare is very expensive right now. We are making this announcement to you so that you can get already prepared, because $600, $650, that is what the plane is calling for right now. So I don't know how much I can assist, but that's all we can do.
Yeah, the last time I checked the flight, it was $558.
Exactly.
So àtòkèrè lolójújú tí mẹ́kún sun, ẹ jẹ́ ká tètè bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní wá tíkẹ́ẹ̀tì o.
A lè ní question, but àwa wo ni àti register for women convention? Àwa wo ni àti register for women convention? Ṣé gbogbo láti register for women convention? Èmi ò tí register. If you have not registered for women convention, it's 23rd to 24th. Please register. Oh yeah, any question?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
Asitu.
Kò ṣe béèrè question máa ti lọ.
Asitu.
Àwọn ọkùnrin ayé ká jókòó, wọ́n béèrè question. Yeah, madam, go ahead.
Okay, on the registration fee and the hotel fee and combination. I mean, you guys should give us a breakdown.
Oh yeah,
Fingers are not equal. That's number one. Number two, on the flight, we can do a group reservation on the plane ticket.
On the group
Okay,
reservation will work for plane.
Let me get in touch with somebody and get back with you guys.
Okay, man. Yeah, man, my help out, mashallah.
Wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ group reservation pẹ̀lú airline. Àti try ẹ̀, àti explore ẹ̀. It is expensive. It is expensive. So.
Quran night also. Báyọ̀ sẹ́lẹ̀ náà Quran night o. Quran night fún àwọn obìnrin ní women convention. And tẹ́ bá ti register for the Quran night is July 23rd, 7:30 p.m. Ṣé gala night yín mọ́ ni ẹ̀yin obìnrin? Ìta máa ń look forward to nìyẹn. All right. So Alhamdulillah, we give thanks to Almighty Allah for this wonderful program today. We thank Aboye, we thank Brother Shola, who is going to write our own documentary for our own executive team. We thank all our mothers and our fathers today to come here. Oh, Allah Akbar. Oh my, yo.